In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at these current conditions and also diving into the long range upcoming pattern, kind of medium to long range. So not what you guys are used to, like a 1 month outlook, but maybe about 2 to 3 weeks time frame here. As we'll take a look at the European ensemble model actually to get us some guidance on the upcoming pattern and when some cold and snow might become possible early this winter for the eastern half of the nation. Now, as we look at the west, we will zoom in later on, but there is some snowfall and rainfall happening as some frontal boundaries move through. They're right near the coastal regions. This is causing some snowfall further east than the fronts as well. We do see there is a massive cold front taking place across the eastern and south central United States right now, and this is just causing lots of cold air to move into a lot of different regions. And also, this has been causing severe weather, and it still is here on the southern end of this frontal boundary down here near or better yet, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida there. And then we have more heavy to light, moderate to even heavy showers happening here across the Carolinas, up into the mid-Atlantic and even the Northeast here along that front. And again, there is very, very cold air expected with this. We can tell the jet stream is doing something like this, just right here. So we see this cold front is allowing this trough to move into the east. And again, December 1st, today is November 30th, but we've been talking about how December 1st is expected to be cold for weeks now, and it sure does look like that will be the case. Let's zoom in real quickly and then we'll move on. But there is plenty of rainfall happening near the coast here. So for Northern California, there's a little bit there, Oregon, Washington as well. And then we can see for the Rockies and Cascades, there's plenty of snowfall happening with this storminess. Certainly looking heavier in some spots where we're seeing the bright whites and even the blues. That indicates whiteout conditions, so be on the lookout for that, as well as this low pressure system is located near Vancouver there. We see our low on this eastern side of things is located there well into Canada, pretty far north. Sudbury there, well north of Sudbury. Very well north of Toronto, obviously, so this is well up into Canada. We could see some moderate to, I would say light to ranging to moderate to even heavy showers, like I said earlier, for the northeast here. There is some pockets there that are very bright greens, which are going to just be your run-of-the-mill lighter sprinkles and showers. Then we see the darker greens to yellows, which is going to be your more moderate rainfall, steady rainfall. And then we see some spots with some oranges in there. And that's going to be your heavier pockets where you're really going to hear it from inside, obviously. That's kind of a good way to put it. Especially, obviously, if you're near a wall, an exterior wall, not just in the middle of your house. We do see that there is more heavier showers happening here along the mid-Atlantic and southeast coast here, especially the southeast there where we do see this area of oranges and reds in there. Certainly possibly going to be a thunderstorm within there, so that's going to be something to really look out for. Definitely flooding is going to be a possibility as there's just a lot of heavy rainfall for the southeast here. We can see a lot of these thunderstorms have moved offshore of Mississippi and Louisiana now, so it's pretty much all said and done for those folks. But for areas in Florida, Georgia, and even far eastern Alabama and southern North Carolina, or South Carolina, better yet here, we do see that there is still severe weather rolling through, even some tornado warnings happening near the panhandle of Florida there. So really, really got to watch out for these storms as they are looking very dangerous and potentially going to pose a threat of flooding as these are very thick bands of heavy rainfall that are occurring. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at the upcoming pattern where we're going to dive in. We're going to take a look all the way through about the 10th and even beyond of December and just take a look at what the European models are thinking for the temperature pattern, even some prospects at snowfall. Now, here we are taking a look at that temperature anomalies according to our European ensemble models here. So this is as of actually kind of earlier, as we take a look at approximately from the time I'm making this video or a little bit earlier perhaps, we see where that cold front is located and we see the potent cold air behind it right here. And then we see the warmth out ahead of it for the southeast racing up the coast. This is why this has caused so much severe weather in the southeast, because there's a lot of potent cold moving in right behind where there is a lot of very warm compared to normal conditions. So that has caused a lot of that severe weather to occur. We can see that by the time we're reaching Thursday morning, December 1st, we are going to wake up to a colder morning here in the eastern United States. So we're starting December out in a good way for cold and snow lovers, but already we see December 2nd is cold for a few folks in here, but already by the 3rd, everybody warms up. Saturday the 3rd will be a very warm day once again, but we already have a swinging cold front coming through once more, and that does sort of roll through. Not very potent, but we do get some colder air back in place for the eastern United States. Meanwhile, out west, everything's kind of just staying in a negative PNA, which indicates colder than normal conditions out west are really going to be staying around. By the time we reach about the 8th here, we see that the southeast ridge is still playing a role in the weather, but we do see a lot of cold able to make its way in through the north central and northeastern United States, but still out west we're dealing with this negative PNA occurring there. Now by the time we reach about Friday the 9th, we can see this cold is even further down the southeast coast into portions of South Carolina and Georgia, so it's pushing this warmth further out. The 10th here, looking relatively cold still as well, according to this European ensemble model. And then what we see happen by the time we reach about the 13th is we see cold from coast to coast. So this is an interesting pattern, but not impossible. As we saw just a couple of weeks ago, we were stuck in a pattern very similar to this, kind of close to Thanksgiving or a little bit earlier than it. I forget exactly when it was, but we had a pattern exactly like this actually occur where we saw the cold from the west all the way to the east coast, and really there was no warm areas in the United States. So I know this is certainly a possibility, not something too far-fetched. This is according to our European ensemble model, which is going to give us a better picture of long range because this isn't just one computer model doing all the work here. This is about oftentimes 20 to 30. I think the European model has 30 ensemble members and then the GFS ensemble has 30. But here we have about 20 members, 20 different computer models that are slightly different, basically coming together, and we're getting the mean average of their opinion here. So it's kind of a good way to look at long range things because it's averaged out with all those different models. And we can see even by the time we reach the 15th or so, it's still going to be cold from coast to coast. So this could be an interesting prospect, a very, very interesting pattern. I think what would be something to look for is not nor'easters in this pattern. I don't think that's going to be a common storm track because really this cold is all around. There isn't really a solid jet stream for things to move around like this because it's mostly doing this, obviously. So unless a storm comes from here and wraps all the way around, it's not a good look. But I think that there could be quite a few storm systems that move down from Canada along the cold blasts that could become more minor to moderate storms. So I'm going to be looking for that. Also, I could see some storms diving down like this and kind of making their way across the nation, or even perhaps working their way in like this we've seen before too as well this winter. I could see a storm track very similar to that occurring. So let's take a look actually at some of this storminess here and just work our way through because we've seen what this model thinks the temperatures will be like. Let's see what it thinks this storminess is going to be like, and let's move to a range where it's actually going to be, unfamiliar territory. So for instance, the 7th here, we see this model potentially thinking some storminess will be occurring here across the southeast. We do have a trough in place, so this could be an interesting opportunity for snowfall here, somewhere in here, I would say, with that type of a storm track. We do see some of this move offshore as well, potentially meaning snowfall somewhere in here as well. This is kind of how you have to take an ensemble model. It's not an exact science, obviously. It's more of just being able to perceive what some of these members are probably showing here. We do have more storm systems moving across this region. Again, probably taking a track, something like this, across the nation and making their way primarily over here, possibly leading towards some northeast snowfall is going to be something to really watch for in this upcoming pattern, I would say. As we continue on further, we see that storminess just continue for a lot of these areas. So that's going to be something to watch, especially since we know we're going to end coast-to-coast cold here. There could be some really good snowfall opportunities as we reach the midway point of December here, according to our European model. But until we get a positive PNA, I don't see the prospect here for very large coastal nor'easters. It's going to be much more of an inland storm track, is my opinion. But I could see, I don't think it's impossible for nor'easters to occur, so let me put it that way. But I just don't think it's the more likely scenario here if you want my honest opinion on what I think with this temperature pattern. And I live along the coast mostly. I'm hoping for coastal storms. So, that's not a bias there. I wish I could tell you that there looks to be major snowfall nor'easters along the East Coast. That's just not what I can tell you right now. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, even subscribe, as we do upload every single day. And we're going to be just taking a look at the entire winter and really just being on top of things here. We won't miss anything. We're going to just keep our eyes on all of these models and make sure we catch these storms very early on so everybody can be well aware. You can even hit that bell icon to get daily notifications as well. So that's also an option. And leave a comment down below with your guys' opinions, because I love those so much. And I'll see you guys in the next video.